name is Sharon Dennis Wyeth, and I'm the third great-granddaughter of Minerva Lewis, who was a citizen of this town, and this marker that is in progress right now will be dedicated to, you know, some people in the town were very instrumental in promoting this idea. Matt Lawless and Evelyn Edson of the museum, Connie Geary, Hillary Worley, and Annie Whitehouse, and especially my cousin, my fifth cousin once removed, Lenora McQueen, the historian and genealogist who has been helping me find my family for the last 15 years. I've been collecting family stories since I was 9 years old, but I did not know the name of any of my enslaved ancestors, although I had asked when I was getting older, but my grandfather was not forthcoming. But when I was about to leave for college, I asked one more time, and he gave me a gift. He gave me two names, the name of a person and the name of a place. The name of the person was Minerva, and the name of the place was Scottsville. You know, I went to archives because it was before, you know, digitalization of everything, and I found the names of Minerva and her husband George Washington Lewis and their children, and it was really quite thrilling. But you know, I went on to college in Massachusetts, moved to New Jersey and New York, and I had never been to the town of Scottsville. Well, 15 years ago, I discovered it by chance. I was on my way down to a writer's retreat, and I saw a sign, and I nearly had an accident parking my car. I parked and ran out and began walking around the street because my grandfather had mentioned this town, Scottsville, with such incredible affection. As I walked down the street, the memories that he shared just ran through my mind. Well, he had a pony here, and he came down here in the summer, and he had lived for a number of years with his Minerva and George Washington's first daughter, Cora, who was his grandmother. He had driven an ice wagon for an ice company on the river down here when he was a teenager. And here I was in Scottsville. I also remembered that there was a store. There had been a store in the family, and there was this lore about this store. So I'm looking for a store, looking, I can't find it, so I go to a museum. And I met somebody in the museum, the Scottsville Museum, and I told them my story, and that, you know, there was no real proof of the existence of that store anymore. So I thought I'd never know the location. But I've been here many other times, just stumbling around by myself, looking for things. You know, finding family is a legacy in the African American community ever since emancipation, because so many families were separated, and people did go in search for their lost relatives. It was a painful search and often did not result in anything. You know, many people left the towns where they were, the sites in which they were enslaved when emancipation came. You know, people left by the thousands, but Minerva and her husband, George Washington Lewis, they stayed, they dug their roots even deeper in the place where they had grown up, where they had been born, and they became citizens of this town. But it wasn't until 2021 that I, can you believe it, learned the location, all those years later, of the store, of the family store that I had heard about. And I also learned through Matt Lawless and researchers and through Lenora McQueen, my cousin, the location was right here, the farmer's market. And so my husband and I last year came running down here in our car from New Jersey to stand in this spot, and he took a picture of me, and I can't tell you what it felt like. It felt like a long journey was coming to an end, and a good end, and I was feeling at home. And not only that, I learned that Minerva was probably the first known black female property owner in the town. Now, I didn't know that there was going to be a marker dedicated to her at that time. And I had just finished writing a book on Juneteenth, ironically, a children's book. I'm a children's author, and I dedicated it to her, knowing now that I knew the spot and I knew that she had been a property owner, a prominent, you know, that's status, first black female property owner in the town, and so I dedicated it to her in this Juneteenth book, never dreaming that the following year on Juneteenth I would be here for the dedication of this marker. It's such a wonderful confluence of coincidences, and I have to say that they obviously felt at home here. They loved the land, they loved the people, they became a part of the community, they were a prominent part of my community especially, and I feel at home here too, and so does my family. So my family members, direct line, I'm not really here today, but I speak for them, and also for Minerva, not for Minerva, for Lenora, also a descendant, and I speak for us all to say how honored we are and how grateful we are to be included and acknowledged in this way, especially on this day that celebrates equality and freedom for all of us. Thank you very much.